Nothing in this podcast or on our website should be construed as medical advice. Consult your healthcare provider for your individual nutritional and medical needs. The information presented is based on our research and is strictly that of the author and not necessarily those of any professional group or other individual.
Hi, I'm Sue Becker from Bread Beckers. Welcome to Sue's Healthy Minutes. I'm so excited you've joined me today, and I hope this episode encourages you and allows you to find the answers you have been praying for the health of you and your family. Today on Sue's Healthy Minutes, I will try to address a question I keep getting concerning the folic acid fortification of commercially processed wheat flour and baked goods. It has certainly caught my attention in the past 5 to 6 years as more and more information and studies are circulating on the idea that too much folic acid intake through supplementation and the commercially fortified bread and flour products may actually be causing more harm than good. A tremendous amount of research has surfaced in the past few years regarding what is known as the MTHFR gene mutation and our biological process of methylation. Now, hang with me here. I don't want to lose you, but we are going to have to get a little technical. This gene mutation is becoming more commonly known and is linked to our body's decreased ability to detoxify and even seems to be connected to such chronic health conditions as Hashimoto's and hypothyroidism, blood clots, infertility, depression, birth defects, Alzheimer's, and even certain cancers. I want to say that when I first started working on this podcast episode to address the subject of MTHFR, I thought it would be a short episode with the facts I currently knew. But as I have continued in my research on MTHFR, it has taken me down a biochemical rabbit trail that led to more and more study. So today I will try to share a few of the facts I have uncovered as simply as I can. First, let's start with the basics. What is this MTHFR gene mutation and what has caused this increase in awareness? MTHFR stands for an enzyme known as methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase. Let's say that again. MTHFR stands for an enzyme known as methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, which works as a catalyst for many important biochemical reactions in our body. It converts vitamin B9, known as folate, into methylfolate, the active form of folate, which is essential for a process called methylation. Every single cell and tissue in our body experiences methylation. So now you may be asking, what is methylation and why is it important? Methylation in our body is a simple biochemical process that transfers 4 atoms, 1 carbon and 3 hydrogens, or a CH3 compound known as a methyl group, from one substance to another. The addition of these methyl groups to a substance can greatly affect how they act in the body. When optimal methylation occurs, it has a significant positive impact on many biochemical reactions in the body that support the cardiovascular, neurological, reproductive, and detoxification systems that can greatly affect our liver function and detoxification ability, estrogen metabolism, fat metabolism, cellular energy, histamine reactions, eye health, DNA production, neurotransmitter production, and more. Suffice it to say, methylation, or lack thereof, can affect nearly every healthy function in our bodies. We are truly fearfully and wonderfully made with complex and intricate switches, if you will, that can turn biological processes on or off and that keep the body operating properly? Well, one such switch is this methylation process. CH3, or this methyl group, is provided to the body through a universal methyl donor known as SAMe. SAMe stands for adenosyl methionine. SAMe is a molecule found naturally in our body, but must be manufactured from the amino acid methionine. While there is no direct food source for SAMe, methionine is an important amino acid that can be found in foods such as whole grains, nuts, meat, eggs, and dairy. In 1950, SAMe was discovered and found to be an important contributor to key functions in every living cell, and absolutely necessary for methylation to occur. So how does methylation happen? As the universal donor of the methyl group, CH3, SAMe freely gives away its methyl group to other substances in the body, which enable the cardiovascular system, neurological, reproductive, and detoxification systems to function properly. So, how does this relate to folate? The system that produces SAMe is dependent on one switch being turned on by the critical B vitamin, none other than active folate or methylfolate, also known as 5-MTHF. If enough 5-MTHF is present, the methylation cycle will work efficiently. Okay, so where am I going with this? Folate is the naturally occurring water-soluble form of vitamin B9 found in whole foods such as whole grains and beans, nuts, seeds, green leafy vegetables, and fresh fruits. A diet high in folate can reduce the risk of common diseases and seems to be directly related to reducing the incidence of certain birth defects, especially spine and brain development and neural tube defects. Folic acid, on the other hand, is the synthetic form of folate that is found in enriched flour products and many multivitamin supplements. With the invention of the steel rolling mills and the removal of the bran and germ portions of the wheat kernel from commercially processed white flour, we lost a very reliable food source of bioavailable folate. Enrichment of the flour in 1948 did not include a mandate for the addition of folate. It would take until 1998 in response to a rising incidence of neural tube birth defects for commercially processed refined flour to be fortified with folic acid, the synthetic form of folate. According to the CDC, this enrichment did indeed result in a reduction of neural tube defects, which is a good thing. But no one knew what the long-term effects might be. Natural folates are broken down in the small intestines and converted to methylfolate, the bioactive form the body can use. Research is finding, however, that synthetic folate must be metabolized in the liver. Some research shows that the liver cannot metabolize folic acid into the folate needed by the body as readily as earlier thought, and that the liver is an easily saturated system, and that consumption of these refined foods fortified with synthetic folic acid has led to rising levels of unmetabolized folic acid circulating in our blood. Since methylfolate is the switch that turns on the conversion of the amino acid cysteine to the amino acid methionine, which is then used to form SAMe, synthetic folic acid is causing a kink in a very important biological set of chain reactions. So now let's go back to our original topic. What is MTHFR. MTHFR stands for methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase, an enzyme that works as a catalyst for important biochemical reactions in our body. It converts vitamin B9, folate, into methylfolate, which is essential for a process called methylation. And like stated before, every single cell and tissue in your body experiences methylation. The MTHFR gene provides the body with instructions for making this MTHFR enzyme. But what happens if a gene mutation has occurred? There are two main MTHFR mutations. These mutations can occur on different locations of these genes and can be inherited from one or both parents. Having one mutated allele is associated with increased risk of certain health problems, but having two increases the risk much more. An MTHFR mutation can change the way a person metabolizes and converts important nutrients from their diets into active vitamins, minerals, and proteins. In some cases, changes in how this enzyme works can affect cholesterol levels, brain function, digestion, endocrine function, and more. It is now being discovered that about 30 to 50% of all people carry at least one mutation in this gene, which greatly limits the production of the MTHFR enzyme, which in turn greatly inhibits the conversion of folate into the active form methylfolate. But an MTHFR mutation can affect people differently. While some with the MTHFR gene mutation notice no symptoms, it is estimated that of the people that do carry the mutation, about 14 to 20% have severe effects that impact overall health more drastically. People with this mutation tend to develop certain diseases, including ADHD, Alzheimer, atherosclerosis, autoimmune disorders, and autism more often than those without the mutation. To date, there have been dozens of different health conditions tied to this MTHFR mutation. So, what does this mean for us who mill our own flour, especially wheat? The good news is that while the commercially processed bread must be absolutely avoided by those with the MTHFR gene mutation, real bread made from freshly milled flour can be eaten with no adverse effects. Why? Because wheat is one of the richest grain sources of natural folate that can easily be converted to methylfolate even with the gene mutation. This should make everyone with the MTHFR gene mutation who has had to give up bread rejoice. The sad news, however, is that wheat, bread, and even gluten continue to be blamed for many health issues when in fact it could actually be the commercially processed flour that is devoid of many nutrients and fiber that God intended to be provided by whole grains, and that the synthetic vitamins used to enrich the flour cannot perform the task they are designed to perform. And this enrichment of commercially processed foods may actually be creating new health issues and causing more harm than good. While it is claimed that the enrichment of commercially processed white flour with synthetic folic acid has indeed lowered the incidence of neural tube birth defects, perhaps eating real bread from freshly milled flour in its whole unenriched form with all the goodness of natural folate might be a better solution. Years ago, when we had our real bread laboratory tested, one slice provided 10% of the natural folate daily recommendation. One slice. So, as the verse from Isaiah 55:2 asks, why do you spend your money for that which is not bread, and your earnings for what does not satisfy? We can gladly answer, I don't, and I won't. Only real bread is the staff of life for me. I know I covered a lot of technical information that might be slightly hard to follow at times, but it's worth the understanding as the topic is being brought up more and more in many circles of conversation. Now, you can share the truth with those who have concerns. Real bread, providing all the natural folate your body needs, is the answer. Until next time, this is Sue Becker from Bread Beckers with Sue's Healthy Minutes.
Sue's Healthy Minutes podcast has been a presentation by the Bread Beckers Incorporated located in Woodstock, Georgia. For more information, store hours, and learning opportunities, visit breadbeckers.com and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast and never miss an episode. Share this with 2 friends who would benefit from this information, and be sure to join us again next week for more of Sue's Healthy Minutes.